quiz. Question. Some of this stuff, like if you read above there, where you should have read the expanded form, when would you ever write a number in the expanded form? Look at the expanded form there in your book.
Mr. Ebersole.
Yeah, exactly, that's probably the only time. Now, let's go back. When would you write it in word form? When you're writing a check. So that's gonna be important. But the expanded form, short word form. You see that sometimes in like accounting and stuff, but not a whole lot anywhere else. Anybody have any questions over any of those? Yes, no, maybe? Easy stuff on. Page 98. Give me the assignment last time was page 98.
Through 99.
Huh?
I think it was through 99.
Yeah, what was the problem numbers? 5 through?
5 through 39.
5 through 39. So if you get that into me, get your credit for it. Questions on that? Straight time pay. Everybody understand it pretty well? Easy stuff.
Yep.
Even easier when you copy your homework off somebody else?
No.
Is that a yes, Owen?
What?
Was that a yes?
I mean, it always is easier when you copy.
Looked like
so
you
yeah.
were shaking your head.
I mean, I get it.
Alright. Everybody understand straight time pay? Because today what we're gonna cover is overtime pay. To find overtime pay, you gotta find straight time pay, then the overtime pay, and then add the two together. So you're still gonna be doing the same thing, part of it, but a little extra. So everybody understands it? I hope so. I don't know how many, I'll say this, where a lot of you work at, and it's happened to me just here. Your job messes up on your pay, are they gonna go back and catch it and say, oh, we shorted you $50 last week?
No.
No. All right, now, if they mess up and give you an extra $50, are they gonna catch it? Yeah, probably so. Now, they'll probably catch it if they shorted you, they just probably won't say anything.
Yeah, you gotta catch it yourself.
You
'cause
gotta
it's
catch it.
happened to me before. I got shorted like $100 and I let my bank know and they gave me it back.
Yep. You have to catch it, and if you don't stay on them, I know my son, he's in college, but over the summer as he was working, first check, they shorted him. And he caught it, and I said, you make sure you go in there and you tell them right away that they shorted you, and then don't just go in there and tell them once, go in there a few days later and tell them again, hey, is there anything going on with me getting this pay, my back pay that you guys shorted me out of, so that they'll get it to you, because otherwise, they won't. Now, the school here has been, because I'm the treasurer for the teachers union, and I know there's been several times that the school treasurer has taken more money out of somebody's check than they were supposed to, and I had to pay, the way it worked is I had to pay the person, and then the school reimbursed the teachers union, because it made it easier for the bookkeeping part of it. Otherwise, I don't know, I'm sure there's something where the government thinks, oh man, what's going on here? Somebody's trying to cheat the system or something, and so they made it easier on them. So then they caught that a couple times. I think there's probably been a couple times where they didn't catch it, and it just went on through. But make sure you're checking your setup. You'll see this throughout the year. This is just a check stub. It's one of my old check stubs. I don't know if I can move that anywhere. One of my old check stubs. You'll notice some things on here. This is all the deductions for this current pay. It's got the deductions down through here, name of the deduction, the amount each time. Anybody know what that stands for?
Year to date.
Year to date, so that's how much they've taken out for the year so far, whenever this was. I don't even know, this check stub I'm sure is fairly old. And then it's got another column of them, so it's not just one column of stuff that's getting taken out of my check, it's two whole columns, alright?
Man, you're rich.
Yeah. Keep believing that. Let's look down through here. What's this first one stand for?
Federal tax.
Federal tax. So they take out about $78 federal tax each pay. Anybody know what STRS is? Probably not, because you guys haven't thought about that yet. I'm thinking about it a lot now. It's getting closer and closer. That's a retirement plan. Notice retirement plan, taking out $400 each pay, $350, sorry. You can probably read that, what's that?
Medical.
So 188. This is another medical, it's cancer and something else, a special plan that I got that cost me about $30 each pay. Anybody have any idea what this is? It's more retirement. Now what happens here, and if you get when you're looking for a job, these are things, we talked a little bit about the benefits. These are things you should look for. Here, I pay this much into my retirement, the school matches it. So instead of just having $350 per pay put towards retirement, I got double that, so about $700 per pay. If a job doesn't do that for you, might not be the greatest of jobs, all right? You try to get something where they'll help you out with your retirement. Some jobs will even do better than that. Some jobs pay, like a 401k, they'll pay all of it for you. Any idea what you think this is? This is how much the school pays in my medical. So I pay this much, plus there's other stuff added in here. The school pays that much per pay.
Is that $266?
2,000. Medical insurance, very, very expensive. My medical insurance per month is about, with what the school pays and what I pay, probably somewhere close to $4,000. So very expensive. This is what the school pays for my vision insurance. Anybody know what this is?
Medicare.
What's Medicare?
It's like a government healthcare system.
Okay, it's government health care, so when I get old, if there's nobody to take care of me, money goes into this account, and Medicare tries to take care of those people who maybe don't have family or don't have a way to take care of themselves at
I'll
that
take
point.
care of it, Mr.
Thank you, appreciate that. Tell my sons all the time, I said, bust your tail right now, get a good job, because here in a few years, when I can't take care of myself, the one thing you don't wanna have to do, and in one of my other classes, the young lady says this is what she does for her job right now. Don't wanna have to wipe my butt. And somebody's gonna have to do it, right? So you can pay somebody to do it if you got a good job, otherwise, it's gonna be up to you. You might know what this is, school tax, about $22. This one, state tax. HSA, we'll talk about HSA later on. This is another healthcare, medical. HSA is a health savings account. So I put $80-some each pay into a health savings account. And what, these have just came up here in the last 10 years or so, since health insurance has gone so much through the roof. Now, a lot of people are doing a savings account, and I put money into an account, and the school puts money into that same account for me, and that keeps the cost of our medical insurance down, which that doesn't look like it's down when it's $40,000 a year, but that keeps that down a little bit. And now what has to happen is I have to, when I go to the doctor, like today I have a doctor's appointment, when I go in there, I have to pay them with my bank card for that savings account. So you have a special card and stuff, and money's just gathered up in there. And I think, I don't know, my savings account right now has got like $7,000 or $8,000 in it. Now that's not real great, because if I take one ambulance to ride, guess what happens to that $7,000 or $8,000? It's all gone.
How much is it for an ambulance to go?
Yeah. It's in between, depending on who it is and where they're taking you and stuff, it's expensive.
So how much is like an air flight?
50 or 60.
Just call me if you need ambulance.
Good. So you got to make sure, I know earlier this summer, my son had his wisdom teeth cut out, and the bill was like $3,000 or $4,000, and my wife had something done, and that bill, I can't remember, it was like $1,000. Well, the doctors where they had them done at had recently moved and didn't have the correct numbers to send to the insurance company. So the insurance company said, we're not paying it. And all of a sudden, my health savings account went from like $7,000 or $8,000 down to like $2,000, because they went in there and just took the money out. And I'm like, okay, that's really crappy. But now I think they got it straightened out, and I think the money's back in there now. So that's just one way that you could use to try to help keep the cost down, which it's not doing a real good job. A whole bunch of the teachers, when they changed to this here at the school, a whole bunch of the teachers went to it, tried to save the school money and save themselves money. And now a whole bunch of them are switching back to the regular insurance, because it doesn't seem to be doing what it was supposed to do. Especially if you got real young kids, which I don't have real young kids anymore, so I don't worry about it too much.
Yeah, neither do
Huh?
we. Neither do
Yeah, that's good. But, and then as you get older too, and that I do have to worry about, as you get older, more and more, and I've been to the doctor more in the last year and a half than I went in the whole rest of the 50 years I was alive, so. Dental, that's just common sense. Annuity, anybody know what an annuity is? We'll talk about annuities later on in the year. Annuity is another kind of retirement plan, putting money back for something. Annuities have special, they got special rules about them, and so, and one thing I'll say, you see I'm putting $50 into that annuity. I forget about this all the time. My wife I think she hides it from me. Cause she's always going, where are we gonna get the money to pay for so-and-so's college or so-and-so's this? I've been putting $50 into this account for 20 years. I've never drawn a dime out of it. But I don't know what she's done to it. So I'm sure it's getting used somewhere. If, and I had a math teacher tell me this when I first graduated college. If you start some kind of, it doesn't have to be an annuity, it could just be a savings account. And savings accounts are about worthless now. Back then they weren't, but now they are, because you don't make anything off of them. We'll talk about that as the year goes along. If you start some kind of account, even if it's just putting money under your mattress, I don't care, burying it out in the backyard, in mason jars, whatever. If you take $20 out of each of your pay, and then $10 out of each pay, and put it somewhere and don't mess with it, you're gonna have a whole bunch of money saved up by the time you retire. Now, is that hard to do? Yeah, because that math teacher told me, he goes, hey, take $20 out of each pay, you won't miss it, stick it somewhere. Oh, I got plenty of time. Now I don't have plenty of time, and I didn't start doing it soon enough. But if we were to figure this out, you guys are 18. Let's say you're 18. You're gonna retire at what age?
62.
You hope. Probably not by the time you guys get to retirement. It'll probably be like 70 or something, but we'll say 62. Somebody help me out. What's 62 minus 18? Hurry up, man, grab it.
59. Huh?
So you're gonna work for 44 years. In 44 years, let's say, we'll just make it easy and you get paid weekly, all right? How many weeks in a year? Somebody help me out, multiply 44 times 52.
2,288.
So 2,288 weeks, right? Now, when I was talking to this guy, he was telling me to put it into a savings account. And at that time, savings accounts were drawing 3, 4, 5% interest. Savings accounts now draw like a 10th of a percent interest.
Interesting, mine's like 0.1.
Right. That's it.
Mine actually does like a really low percent every month, like it gives me money.
Right, but it's something really, really small.
Yeah.
Again, I'm the treasurer for the school, for the association, and we have, I don't know, there's like $7,000 or $8,000 in a savings account. And each month it makes like 3 cents, I think. It's sort of worthless.
So are we saying we're gonna like keep back up 20 each paycheck?
So if you kept back at 20 times that,
45,760.
now that doesn't seem like a whole lot, but that's probably about a year's pay, right? If you were sticking this somewhere that made decent money, right? Even like maybe just a CD that might draw 5 or 6% interest. And you keep just rolling it over into that. And he showed me, you could turn this into about $500,000 or $600,000. $500,000 or $600,000 in a year. I'll check it here in a minute, all right? Also, you have to stick with me, those, we took a little short quiz.
I'm doing that.
Put money back, I mean, real helpful. Anybody Anybody have any idea what these are?
Is that?
It says BRD. That's what the board pays, that's what the school pays. They pay
For life insurance?
for life insurance. I should have the life insurance on here, they must not have taken any out on this one. So the board pays part of my life insurance, I pay part of it.
They only pay $5
What
for
is
it.
life insurance?
$5.
Keeps you alive-ish.
Down the road.
It's money that your family would get if you died.
Oh, okay.
Well, my family ain't getting.
Board dental, notice here, this is a good thing, I paid $2 in dental, the board has to pay like $77. So they pay most of that. One America, that's another health insurance thing. $41. Medicare we talked about, notice this one's got an asterisk beside it. This is what I pay, $32, the school matches it.
So being a teacher is like, you get a lot of like good things.
There,
being a teacher.
there's a few good things in there yet. I mean, it's not the greatest, cause depending on what job you get, it's not as much as it used to be. But there was a time back before, the healthcare started going all crazy, where if you had a decent job, they paid all of your medical. The school here pays like 75% of the medical, and I pay 25%, so they have a percentage. Now, if you go to Neaton or somewhere like that now, a lot of those companies, and I can't say which for sure, but a lot of those companies, when the healthcare started going nuts, and the government, put through the healthcare plan, whatever it was, they said, all right, we don't have to help pay for your healthcare anymore, so we're not going to. You go get it through the federal government. And now they pay no percentage of your healthcare. And retirement, that's something you gotta work out with that certain company, cause some companies pay nothing for your retirement. It just depends on the job you get. So that's all stuff you gotta look at. You'll notice here what the gross pay was. And then how much, that's the adjusted pay, and somewhere on here, this net pay, that's how much I actually took home. So about $1,600, so almost $1,000 deducted out. So let's see, if we take, help me out with your calculator there, Adam. What's 25, just take 2,500, or take 1,000 divided by 2,500. Should be a decimal, should be point something, point four. And this is one of those things I know we're gonna do on those quizzes like we did earlier. How do you change that to a percentage? So what percentage is that?
There.
We'll take almost half. And it's not that they're taking it, but about half my check goes to medical, retirement, so on and so on. It's not like I just get to take it all home. All right, well, we're gonna cover today, overtime pay, go ahead. You might copy down some of this. Again, I highly suggest that you have a binder and keeping stuff in there. 7 through 14.
Good, I'm out.
Worry about the notes, then you can get it done right after this. So overtime pay is extra pay for hours worked beyond the regular number of hours. Some places it used to be, I'm not sure what changed. Used to be 40 hours. If you worked over 40 hours or if you worked over 8 hours a day, you got paid overtime. It's not the way it is anymore. I'm not sure exactly
No,
why.
it's still 40.
It's still 40.
Yeah, I think it's just like depends on your job.
Yeah.
Cause like when I worked at a diesel shop in Greenville, and like whatever I worked there for 40, they gave me double pay.
Really?
So some of it, some of them are that way, but some of these jobs I know some of the factories and stuff are working like 4 days a week, 12 hours a day, and they're getting away with not paying overtime pay somehow. And I don't know how they're doing it. So there's, something has changed there. So you might, if you get a job, you might check on that. But that's the way it used to be. If you worked over 8 hours in one day, you got paid overtime. Or if you worked over 40 hours in a base week, you got paid for overtime. Another thing you need to check with overtime is sometimes it's time and a half, sometimes it's double time, sometimes it's triple time. That's different for each company. I know like a lot of my wife's family works over at AK Steel in Middletown. If you work holidays, you know, it's like triple time. Well, most places don't do that. On this is the one that we're going to use a lot. You might write out there somewhere just to help yourself. You're timesing by 1.5. You times your hourly pay times 1.5. So if you make $2 an hour, you times that by 1.5. And what you'd end up with is $3 an hour. So if you were working overtime, instead of making $2, your base hourly pay, you would make $3 per hour. And then double time, you times your hourly pay by 2. So if you're making $2 an hour and you worked overtime, now you would make $4 an hour.
Sucks you get it.
Back in the 80s.
We ain't no $2 an
Back in the 80s. Dylan acts like back in the 80s was a million years ago.
Well, you remember living in the eighties or something?
Yeah.
It was a little high.
I was looking at the 80s back in the day.
Now I'm 85.
Yeah, I do.
How well do you remember the eighties?
Real well.
He said real well.
Maybe it's not that old.
How old are you in the
I graduated in 85.
80s? Okay.
From high school?
So he was an old fella.
Did you graduate around my age?
So if he was 18, 75,
I bet he gives up in about 10 seconds.
75, so like 62.
You're born in 67. 61.
Wait. 67. He graduated in 85.
Yeah.
You probably graduated at 18.
Yeah.
So
65.
75 would be 10 years.
65 would be 20 years.
All right. These are the formulas you need. Please, if you write down nothing else, write down these formulas. These are the formulas that you're gonna need to do this stuff. I try to write them out in words instead of using just, so hopefully that'll help you. If it doesn't help you, then we'll figure out something else. Your overtime rate again, 1.5 times your hourly rate. I just got done saying that a minute ago. Probably not something that you can do without a calculator, so if you don't have a calculator yet, get one. Not gonna keep loaning mine out. Should be able to handle getting some calculator of some kind.
Yeah, you should. You can make it for, maybe like you did last year.
You could get a dog.
Make it for a grade. Start doing that next class.
What was it?
Everybody get a calculator by next class, and I'll start making it for a grade.
Yeah.
That was kinda cool.
All right. Next class, tell everybody else that's not here to count as a grade. All right, don't tell.
Don't tell.
If you're making 2 times hourly rate, a lot of times companies, if it's a holiday or something, and it's only certain holidays,
Can we put it as like OT?
yeah, you could write OT.
I don't put OBT.
I don't
So-
remember what it is.
If it's a holiday, but it's only certain holidays, you might not make any overtime for a lot of holidays. President's Day, they're not paying any holiday pay. What holiday's next Monday? Is that,
Labor Day.
Labor Day? They're not paying you overtime.
I know for like my aunt works at a nursing home, they get double pay and like $100 Visa gift card.
Some little bonus,
So
just
like
to.
Christmas and
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, New Year's.
So, I know when I worked at the convenience store, that's what they would do for me, is I'd get paid for Christmas, I'd get paid double time, and, I can't remember. And there was like $100 bonus or something for anybody who worked Christmas Day. And I worked it every year there for a while, cause my kids were younger. So December 25th would roll around and we'd tell them it was December 24th. They didn't have a clue, so we would celebrate Christmas the next morning. They didn't have any idea.
Wow, that's rude. Do they know now you did that?
No, probably not. They probably don't.
Let's keep it that way too.
Does it really matter? I mean,
No.
do you care when Christmas is?
It's Christmas. Why would
Still
you
get
care?
gifts.
They didn't care, it was just one day later. Wasn't like they, they were all young, so it wasn't like they were jumping in their cars and going out and their friends would tell them, hey, look what I got for Christmas. What do you mean Christmas? That's tomorrow. Remember, straight time pay is your regular hours, your regular hours times your hourly rate. So, again, a lot of places, 8-hour day is a normal day. Some places it's not that. It's just whatever they schedule you to work. So, when I worked in the factory, I worked 8 hours, and then they'd usually ask you if you wanted to work overtime. And you'd work either 2 or 4 extra hours. So, for that 8 hours, I'd make 8 times my normal pay. Then you have to add on
4 extra hours.
the 4 extra hours at overtime. So if I was making $10 an hour, that means I'd make $80 there. Now, I would make time and a half, so you take 10 times 1.5, and some of this you can do in your head. If it's something easy like this, you're making $5 extra, right? Because you got your 10 that you normally make, plus another half. Well, half of 10 is 5, so I make $15 per hour, and you take that, the 4 hours times the overtime pay, which was $15, that'd be another $60. So in that 4 hours, I made almost as much as I did in the whole other 8 hours. and then you add those two together to get your total pay for that day.
That sounds like a lot, but you probably get like 80 of that after tax.
Right, and that's another bad thing, when you work a lot of overtime, guess what happens to the taxes?
Gets higher.
They get higher.
Yeah, my mom worked like, I think it was like 60 hours in a week, and she did not get as much money as she thought she was gonna get.
Right. It's usually, and if you know you're going to a place where you're gonna work a bunch of overtime, you need to figure it out. Where is it that I'm gonna make the most and bring home the most? Because after a while, it goes to where you're paying them like 70% of your pay, and you're only bringing home 30% of it.
So like 2 hours of
Work on your
overtime.
table. Quick, easy money, no tax.
Be like crack baby.
Total pay, another name for total pay is your gross pay. Your gross pay is before anything is taken out. So that's before any taxes, any medical insurance, any of those things are deducted from your pay. Total or gross pay, means the same thing. Normal week for you is 40 hours. This week you work 52 hours. Your hourly rate is $12.50. How about your calculator so you can help me here? Your hourly rate is $12.50. You earn time and a half for your overtime hours. Find your gross pay. So we want to find the total pay. What's the first thing you're going to do?
I get the 40 hours.
So you take 40 times the $12.50.
500.
Everybody agree with that? $500?
Yep.
Even?
We get it better.
Is that it?
No.
No, we
No,
got
we take the other 12.
12 more hours.
Now you gotta be careful. You had 12 hours of overtime, right?
Yep. So
12
Times.
overtime hours.
12.5
You gotta, now be careful.
times.
Before you do that, you gotta find your overtime pay.
Yep, 12.5.
So overtime pay is your normal pay times 1.5.
18.75.
So when you're working overtime, you make $18.75 per hour. Then you take that $18.75 and do what with it?
Times by that other 12 hours.
Times it by the 12 overtime hours.
225.
$225. So does that mean you made $225 this week?
No.
I mean,
What do you gotta do with that?
You gotta add it to the 500, which is 700.
This is your normal pay. This is your overtime pay. Now you gotta add the two together.
720.
So you made $725.
You might buy $500.
Next one, a normal week for you is 40 hours. This week you work 52 hours. You earn time and a half for overtime hours. You also earn double time for holidays. And you work 4 hours on the 4th of July. Your hourly rate is $12.50. Find your gross pay. Now, that sounds like it's basically the same thing as this, right? Some of it is. How much are you gonna get paid for 40 hours?
500.
$500. So we know we got that $500. That's our normal 40-hour week check.
And we got 8 hours of regular, like, time and a half over.
And that's good that Adam picked up on this. There's 12 hours of overtime, but 4 of them you're getting paid what? Double time. So we look back up here, we were making $18.75 for the time and a half. So we take $18.75 times how many hours?
8.
Times 8,
150.
that's $150. Is that it?
No, then we gotta do the 4 hours.
Now we want the 4 hours that we worked the holiday, the 4th of July.
Which is
How much did we make each hour on that 4th of July day? made double time.
$37
30 what?
quick club.
You went too much, I think.
$12.
It's 25 an hour.
25 an hour.
And it's $100.
So now look, we made $12.50 our normal hour, or our normal rate, but we made double time, so we made double that. Well, you want to times that by 2. So we made $25 per hour. What's 25 times 4?
100. 100 not bid.
Now what?
Now you add more.
Now we're gonna add all these,
So that's 650, 750.
$750.
Did that in your head?
Yep.
That would be your gross pay.
I have only 25.
So only 25 extra dollars from here.
That's 2 candy bars and a milkshake.
Yeah.
Your assignments on page 101, 5 through 29. Get your books out. Yeah, we got about 15 minutes. Get your books out. We'll do a couple of them together.
52, 852. What do I do with these papers? What are these?
They're just for your benefit. One of them you fill out and give back to me. Get my glasses so they can come see. Again, have your calculators out so you can help me. Number 5.
Wait, hold on, you're done.
Well, they got A, B, C, and D. Is that what they got?
Yeah.
Oh, A, B, C.
Oh, this.
So part A, how much you making per hour?
60.28.
$16.20. And how many hours?
40.
40? Is that what they said in the? Oh, it says 40-hour week. Yep. So what's 1620 times 40?
648.
$648. That's your normal pay if you just work 40 hours that week. $648. Then it says this certain week you worked 8 hours of overtime. So we got some overtime. What do we got to do with that 1620? Times it by 1.5. So 1620
24.
times 1.5.
24.3.
So $24.30. Is that what we're gonna write for part B there? No, that's how much we make per hour.
Now we times that by 8.
Now we times that by our overtime hours, which was
194.8.
8. Say it again.
194.4.
So $194 and if I just put, I think I told you this last time, if I just put 0.4 there, what's Ebersole gonna do to you?
It's
Uh,
40 cents.
I'm gonna mark it wrong. What do we need on the end here?
40 cents, 0.
So you need a 0. You gotta make sure we're dealing with money
Did you
here.
say 40 cents or 4?
Why did you put like 41 there, like 1? Doesn't have to be a 0.
Then I'd probably just fix it, but what I'm saying, Dylan, is you gotta make sure that our money system, 2 places behind the decimal every time, not 1, not 3, not 5, 2.
I was just wondering if we could put 1 back there, you don't know what's back there.
Yeah, it's nothing.
It's just 0.
It's
40
not
cents.
nothing, it's 40 cents, it's not 4 cents.
Right, but there's nothing behind that for, because if you put a 1 there, that, is your company gonna put a 1 there, who you're working for? No, they're not gonna pay you that extra penny. So to them, it is something.
Yeah, that's true.
What do we do then?
Yeah.
Add those two together, somebody help me out, add those two together. Here, I'll help you out, put my dollar sign.
842.40.
That's your total pay, your gross pay for the week. Number 6. $10.25 for 40 hours, how much is that gonna give us? $410, everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
Part B, again, the first thing you gotta do on Part B.
15.375, so 13.
15.375, so 38,
Yeah.
15.38, that's what you're gonna make? So you make $15.38
Times that by 5.
per hour when you're working overtime, and you work 5 hours overtime, so how much?
76.875, so 88.
88. And then what do you do to get C?
Add them together.
Add those two together, you got your straight time pay, overtime pay.
486.80.
Is that making sense to everybody?
Yeah.
You guys want me to stop, you can just do it? No?
Yes,
Can we work,
yes.
can we just work with partner?
You can work with the partner for the next few minutes if you want.
I've seen it.